It started with a cappuccino and a coworker saying, "Grace, isn't this your fiancé?" She spun her phone toward me. I stared. The room faded. Paige, in a cream tulle dress, arms looped around Theo's waist, her smile stretched across my old face. The post said, "So excited to marry the love of my life. Grace Holloway ring bouquet." I dropped my cup. Ceramic hit tile. Everyone turned, but I didn't hear them. I couldn't breathe. I hadn't seen Paige in 5 years. Not since the crash. Not since I woke up in a rural Missouri hospital with gauze packed around my face and a nurse telling me I was lucky to be alive. Paige visited once. I remember the way she looked at me, pity mixed with something I couldn't name. She said she'd handle the paperwork, said she'd make sure our parents knew. Then she left. When I was discharged months later, I found the truth in fragments. My records were marked deceased. My license was void. My savings account gone. And when I called home, I got a voicemail I barely recognized. "Hi, you've reached the Holloways. We can't come to the phone." They didn't know I was alive. I wasn't sure they wanted to. That was 3 years ago. I moved to Chicago under the name Ivy Miles, grew out my hair, waited tables until I could take the licensing exams again. I became a trauma nurse. Again. Quietly. No headlines, no questions. I should have let it all stay buried. But I couldn't. Not when Paige had Theo. Not when she used my name to do it. He and I had been together for 3 years before the accident. He visited my hospital bed more than my own family. I knew every coffee stain on his coat, the sound of his laugh when he was half asleep. He held my hand the night before my shift that took me out on Highway 62. Now he thought I was dead. And he was marrying her. My sister, the con artist in designer heels. I closed the app, pulled my coat tighter. I needed air. And a plan. Because if Paige wanted to wear my skin in front of God and our mother, she was going to need to survive the spotlight first. She had no idea who was coming. I spent that night sitting cross-legged on the floor of my studio apartment, scrolling through every post on Paige's engagement account. She had nearly 100,000 followers. Every shot was curated. White dresses, golden hour selfies, Theo looking lovesick. But what stopped me cold wasn't the photos. It was the name in the bio. Grace Holloway RN, bride-to-be ring. She wasn't just stealing me. She was wearing me. Credentials, history, even my national nursing license ID, embedded in a selfie caption. I clicked on the tagged location of her bridal shower. My old apartment, the curved windows, the green door frame. I remembered painting it sage when Theo and I first moved in. She'd posted a mirror selfie beside the fireplace with the caption, "Home sweet home, we're finally settled." I was too nauseous to cry. Instead, I reached for my phone and made a call I hadn't made in years. "Serena Wren speaking," came a smooth voice after 2 rings. "Rena?" I said. "It's Grace. Grace Holloway." A pause. Then, Jesus Christ. We hadn't spoken since med school. She'd left to get her JD, then pivoted again. Lawyer turned efficient. A woman who knew ceremony better than courtroom. I skipped pleasantries. "She's marrying Theo. Under my name. I need you." "What do you need me to do?" she asked. I swallowed. "Officiate their wedding." Silence. "You want me to?" "You'll be marrying my sister to my boyfriend." The pause crackled over the line like static. Then came a whisper I never forgot. "Okay, tell me everything." By morning, I had a checklist. I contacted a med school friend with access to hospital records. He dug up my ICU discharge file. Time-stamped, signed, sealed. Serena began assembling a proof packet for the DA's office, just in case. I called in favors for access to biometrics, handwriting analysis, social traces. It felt like preparing for surgery, step by sterile step. I had 24 days until the wedding. On day 3, Paige posted a TikTok lip-syncing in my old scrubs. In the background, my diploma was visible on the wall. I zoomed in. My full name. I smiled. Every detail she borrowed was a nail in her own coffin. By day 5, I wasn't shaking anymore. I was cold. Precise. If Paige wanted my life so badly, she could have it. With the whole damn world watching it unravel on the altar. I arrived in Kansas City 4 days before the wedding. Drove overnight with nothing but a backpack, a burner phone, and 3 sets of ID. Serena had already RSVP'd to the wedding as Reverend S. Wren, traveling in from Colorado. She'd booked me a room at a small inn 20 minutes outside town, cash payment, no questions asked. The morning after I got in, I watched Paige's latest post go live. "She's glowing," one of the top comments said. "She looks exactly like Grace Holloway," another wrote, followed by heart emojis. No one knew the difference. Not even Theo. That night, I watched their engagement live stream with the sound off. Paige waved at the camera, laughing too hard, her hand grazing Theo's chest like she owned him. My hand clenched around a pen until it snapped. She'd even mimicked my laugh. The next day, I went to the dress rehearsal. In disguise, hair darker, skin tone foundation that masked the subtle scar above my lip. I wore reading glasses and a long burgundy shawl. Looked like any other guest's distant aunt. Paige didn't notice me. Too busy soaking in the attention, she stood under a garland arch, practicing lines with Serena, who wore a tight smile and held the efficient folder like it weighed 10 pounds. After rehearsal, the wedding planner passed out check envelopes for vendor tips. Paige took one, paused, and signed, "Grace Holloway." Right there, on a check. Serena caught my eye. I nodded once. She didn't smile, just slipped the check quietly into her folder. Back in the car, I recorded a voice memo. June 3rd. Paige Holloway signed a financial document using my legal name, witnessed by S. Wren, officiant. Rehearsal dinner. Garden View Church. I played it back, just to hear the calm in my own voice. Theo never looked at her the way he used to look at me. I saw it now. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He kissed her forehead like a duty. Not love. But he still thought I was dead. 2 days left. Paige posted a countdown video, dancing barefoot in my old kitchen. Serena called that night. "She doesn't suspect a thing." "I know," I said. "But Theo, he's gonna see the truth hit like a truck." Serena's voice went soft. "You sure he's worth the shock?" I paused. "Doesn't matter. It's not for him." "Then who?" "For me," I said. "It's the only way I get to exist again." The morning of the wedding, I stood in the mirror rehearsing. Not vows, but facts. Full name, blood type, medical ID, emergency contact, ICU admittance. Like any trauma call, you state what's true, and you state it fast. By noon, Serena picked me up in a rental sedan, her suit crisp, her eyes unreadable. "You sure about this?" she asked, knuckles tight on the steering wheel. "I've never been more sure of anything," I told her. She didn't ask again. We arrived at the venue, a historic stone chapel set against open sky and manicured grass. Serena walked in through the front, straight-backed, calm. I circled around to the catering entrance and waited. Guests began arriving. I watched through the slats in a service door. Theo looked nervous, hair neater than I'd ever seen. He adjusted his cufflinks twice and laughed a little too loud at something Paige's friend said. And then, there she was. Paige descended the chapel stairs in a floor-length silk gown. She wore our mother's veil, my mother's veil, and my heart didn't break. It calcified. She looked ethereal, which made it worse. No one would believe the devil wore Maybelline and chiffon. A bell rang. Guests were seated. Serena moved into place under the arch. The music began. This was it. As soon as Paige reached the altar, Serena lifted a hand. The music stopped. Gasps whispered through the pews. Paige blinked, caught off guard. "I'm sorry," Serena said, voice steady through the microphone. "I can't continue. Not until something's made right." Murmurs spread like fire. "There's someone here today who has an objection," Serena continued. "Not for love, for truth." I stepped into the aisle. Every head turned. Paige's face drained of color like milk poured into ink. Theo stared, jaw slack. "Grace?" I walked slowly, each step landing like a gavel. No makeup, just my face. My real, tired, undeniable face. "I am Grace Holloway," I said. "And I'm not dead," someone gasped. Paige staggered a step. I reached the front and pulled a sealed envelope from my coat. "These are my discharge papers from Springfield Regional, dated after the crash." Then I handed Serena a small recorder. She pressed play. The room filled with Paige's voice, breezy and careless, laughing at rehearsal. Do I sign Grace Holloway? God, that still feels weird. She giggled. Then silence. Theo looked at Paige like he'd never seen her before. What is this? And Paige turned, mouth parted. But no lie could save her now. Theo stepped back like he'd touched a live wire. Paige reached for his hand. He didn't take it. I can explain, she said, but her voice cracked halfway through. I watched the flicker of memory pass through his eyes. The way he tilted his head, same way he did when I used to talk through shift stories late at night. The pause before he asked, Grace, how? I didn't answer him. Instead, I turned to the guests. My name is Grace Holloway, I said again, louder this time. I was declared dead 5 years ago after a car crash, but I survived. I opened the proof packet Serena had slipped into her binder and began pulling out documents like a magician's act. ICU intake, dental match, bank withdrawal trail under my SSN. This one, in particular, I held up a photo, was taken inside my old apartment. Posted under Paige's name, but the account listed is mine. A man in the second row took out his phone. Someone else whispered, Is this real? Paige spun toward Serena. Stop this is insane. But Serena didn't flinch. She held up the signed check from rehearsal. You wrote this yesterday, with the name Grace Holloway. A beat of silence. Then Paige's voice, brittle. She's lying. She's unstable. This is harassment. I stepped forward again. I was your sister. You visited me once in that hospital, then vanished. And when I woke up, I was already erased. My accounts emptied. My name revoked. My apartment gone. You didn't even wait until the bruises faded. Paige's mouth trembled. I thought you were never coming back. You didn't wait to find out. My voice was steel. Theo looked between us. You stole her life? I saved it. Paige snapped, eyes wild. You have no idea what I... Enough, Theo said quietly. She turned to him, pleading now. You love me. I loved her, he said. I saw it, the moment her spine softened, when she realized she'd lost not just the con, but the audience. That's when the 2 officers Serena had called earlier walked through the chapel doors. One flashed a badge. Miss Holloway, Paige Holloway, you need to come with us. Not arrested, not yet, but detained. Investigation pending. The veil slipped off her head. Someone laughed quietly in the back row. And just like that, the wedding was over. But I wasn't done yet. I still had to talk to my mother. The crowd hadn't even fully cleared when I spotted her. My mother, Deborah Holloway, standing in the far back pew, hand pressed against her chest like the last 20 minutes had winded her. She hadn't stood when I spoke, hadn't flinched when Paige was escorted out. Now, she looked at me like I was a ghost who'd walked out of her Sunday grief. Mom, I said, stepping toward her. Her lips moved, but nothing came out. Her eyes were wet, not from joy, not quite from sorrow. You didn't call me, I said. You didn't come to the hospital. You didn't even check. She shook her head once. Paige told us, she said there was nothing to see. That your injuries... I was alive, I said. I was breathing. For months. Alone. She stepped back. Just one small, instinctive inch. I didn't know what to believe. But you believed her. I saw the obituary, she whispered. And the records. And she needed so much. She was grieving too. She was all I had left. I felt something old and brittle snap in my chest. All you had left, I repeated. You didn't even ask for a death certificate. I didn't want to make it worse. For who? My voice cracked. For Paige? Or for your own conscience? Theo stood nearby, silent. Serena stepped back to give us space. I gave you 24 years of loyalty, I said. And you let her erase all of it for a few good selfies and a diamond ring. My mother finally spoke, firm now. She wasn't always like this. She changed after the accident. We thought if we just let her have something to hold on to. She took my entire identity, Mom. Deborah's hands trembled. I didn't know what to do. I thought you'd gone. I stared at her. Really stared. The woman who used to braid my hair before church, who once said I had my father's chin in her fire. Now she looked like a stranger inside a familiar frame. Well, I said quietly, now you know I didn't. I turned to leave. but she grabbed my arm. Grace, what happens now? I looked down at her hand, then up into her eyes. That depends. Are you asking as my mother? Or as Paige's accomplice? She let go. I walked away. Behind me, I heard her whisper, I don't know anymore. 2 days later, a voicemail landed on my burner. Theo. Grace, I don't know if this is okay, if I'm allowed to call, but I need to say something, please. I didn't call him back. Not that night. I sat at the hotel window watching streetlights buzz on like someone flipping galaxies. My hands were still, but my mind wasn't. Theo hadn't just believed her. He'd loved her under my name. Even if he hadn't known, that didn't soften the bruise. The next morning, I found Serena already seated at the cafe down the block. She pushed over a folder, stamped with the county seal. Name's yours again, she said. Legally restored, as of 10:03 a.m. I flipped through the pages. License, passport, tax ID. Grace Holloway was no longer a ghost in the system. Media's chewing on the chapel video, Serena added. Paige's rehearsal audio went viral overnight. I raised an eyebrow. She issued a statement, she continued. Blamed stress. Said she was trying to preserve your memory. Girls doubling down on delusion? I exhaled slowly. And the DA? They're reviewing. Financial fraud, ID theft, medical impersonation. Could take weeks, but it's moving. Good. Let it move like molasses. I wanted Paige to feel every hour of uncertainty I'd lived through. That evening, I finally opened Theo's voicemail again. He sounded tired. I don't know what hurts more. Realizing I lost you once, or knowing I believed the second you were gone, you'd never come back. Pause. She wasn't you. Not even close. I see that now. I felt it back then. I just didn't know how to name the difference. He didn't ask for forgiveness. Didn't ask for anything, really. I hope you're okay. I hope you know you're still the only person who ever really saw me. If this is the last thing I get to say, just know, I'm sorry. Click. I saved the message, then deleted it from notifications. I didn't know what I wanted from him anymore. Closure? Maybe. Or maybe just proof he still knew the sound of my name. Later that night, Serena raised a glass at her kitchen table. To survival, she said. I clinked mine softly. To identity, she smiled. You always had it. Just needed the right stage. I didn't hear from Paige again. Directly. But her shadow crawled back in through the seams. A week after the wedding fiasco, a new account popped up under the name Ellie Grace Winslow. No posts, just a profile picture that looked suspiciously like her. But edited, smoothed, rebranded. It took 3 clicks to confirm. She was following Theo, and Serena, and 2 of my former nursing classmates. She was trying again. Trying to crawl into another version of my skin. I didn't block her. I didn't message her. I took a screenshot. Forwarded it to Serena with one line. New mask. Same parasite. Serena replied an hour later. Already reported it. Let me know when you're ready to go public. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. Instead, I focused on reclaiming what mattered. First, I filed the paperwork to reinstate my nursing credentials. I sat through re-verification, fingerprints, interviews, all of it. No shortcuts, no aliases. Second, I moved back into my old apartment. The lease had changed names 3 times, but the landlord remembered me. We thought you died, he said, eyes wide as he slid the new keys across the counter. I did, I said. But I'm back now. Inside, everything was different. Paige had painted the walls a light lilac. I painted them back. Each brushstroke felt like stitching something torn from the inside out. I found one of Theo's old coffee mugs buried in the back of a cabinet. I didn't keep it. I tossed it. Not out of bitterness, just space-making. That night, I opened my laptop and started a new project. A podcast. Title, She Took My Face. Episode 1. What You Lose When You're Erased. Narrated by Grace Holloway. Not Ivy. Not Ellie. Me. Serena helped with the recording setup. She even gave the launch trailer a quote. The real Grace Holloway doesn't need a mic to be heard. But now the world will hear her anyway. By the time the episode dropped, it had 12,000 downloads in the first 48 hours. People sent emails. My sister did the same to me. I thought I was alone. I cried hearing your voice. Thank you. Some stories made my hand shake. Paige had taken so much, but now I was building something she couldn't touch, a legacy on my terms. Truth, in my voice. One follower called me a ghost turned flame. I liked that. The podcast kept climbing. By the end of the month, She Took My Face hit 50,000 streams. But that wasn't the real win. The real win came in a manila envelope. Hand-delivered. Inside, a formal inquiry from the district attorney's office. Fraud investigation initiated. List of offenses under review. Identity theft. Falsifying legal documents. Unlawful impersonation of a licensed medical professional. There was a sticky note attached. Thanks for the clean packet. We'll be in touch. AW. I stared at the DA's initials for a long time, then filed it under pending justice. Serena called that night. You want to celebrate? She asked. I was halfway through saying yes when another call flashed through. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. Grace? The voice was low. Female. Tense. This is Kristen. I don't know if you remember me. I dated Theo. Right after everything. I froze. She rushed on. He told me about you. Eventually. But I think you should know. Paige's new profile? She messaged me. She's spiraling. Kristen, why are you telling me this? Because she showed up at my job today. Said I owed her an apology for taking her man. She was shaking, Grace. She's not okay. I didn't respond right away. She said something else, Kristen added. That she'd been pushed out of her own skin. Then she just left. I closed my eyes. Thanks for the heads up, I said finally. After the call, I stood in the kitchen holding the phone like it weighed 10 pounds. I wasn't scared. Not exactly. But I felt the chill of proximity. Paige was unraveling. And unraveling people don't vanish quietly. I forwarded Kristen's call log and message history to Serena. Then I locked my doors. 3 days passed. Then a letter arrived. No return address. But I knew the handwriting. To Grace, you took everything back. Are you happy now? Just remember, masks crack both ways. Yours isn't bulletproof either. No signature. But the lowercase g's curved just like mine. I stared at it until the sun went down. Then I picked up my phone, dialed the detective Serena had put me in touch with, and said 4 words. She's at it again. Detective Avery met me at a coffee shop near City Hall. No uniform, just a navy jacket and that dry, patient look cops get when they've seen one too many people explode on the sidewalk. She skimmed the letter, her brow furrowing. She hand-wrote this? I nodded. She's threatening you with a mirror, she muttered. Classic deflection. She's not stable, I said. And she's escalating. Avery leaned back. She's also not stupid. Everything she's done so far is technically civil. Until the check, the name use, and the medical credentials. That's when it crosses the line. I slid my phone across the table. New alias. Ellie Grace Winslow. Already reaching out to people from Theo's circle. Avery sighed. We'll open a secondary watch file. But you need to prepare yourself. For what? She won't stop until she gets to be someone else again. That kind of hunger doesn't starve easy. She stood, took the letter, and told me to keep every message. Every DM. Every screenshot. Document like a journalist, Grace. Because your sister? She's gonna write her version eventually. Might as well have yours first. After she left, I sat alone, watching steam curl from my untouched coffee. Then I did something I hadn't done since before the accident. I called Theo. He picked up on the second ring. I got your message, he said. And the podcast. I listened. Which episode? All of them. We sat in silence for a moment. Not awkward. Just old. I never stopped missing you, he said. Even when I thought you were gone. You didn't miss me, Theo. You missed the idea of me. No, I missed the woman who always made me decaf when I couldn't sleep. Who hummed in the car. Who memorized the lyrics before I learned the melody. I swallowed hard. Paige couldn't fake the silence, he said finally. I looked out the window. You're still with her? No, he said. I left the night after the wedding, packed everything, haven't spoken to her since. And now? I don't know, I'm trying to figure out who I am without the lie. Same, I said. He didn't ask for a second chance. I didn't offer one. We just breathed in the same air for a while. No demands, no decisions. Before we hung up, he said, "If you ever want to talk, you've got my number. For real this time." And for the first time, it didn't ache. By late September, I was sleeping through the night again. No Paige, no calls, no subpoenas, yet. The DA's office had gone quiet, which, Serena said, was a good sign. Means they're working, not guessing. I went back to the hospital, not as a patient, not as a ghost in the hallway, as Grace Holloway, RN. The badge felt strange on my chest the first morning back, heavy, but solid. I'd earned it twice now, once through school, once through fire. During lunch, a nurse I barely knew sat beside me in the break room and whispered, "You're the one from the podcast, right?" I nodded. My cousin went through something like that. Different flavor, same betrayal. I just wanted to say, "You helped more than you know." I smiled. That's why I did it. At home, I worked on new episodes, not just mine anymore. Listeners were submitting their own stories. Siblings who drained accounts, parents who forged student loans, roommates who claimed entire careers. Identity theft wasn't always about money. Sometimes it was about erasing someone, piece by piece, until you could wear their life like a prize coat. I called the series Stolen Skins. Serena helped me build a mini studio in the apartment's back corner. I mounted a mirror across from the mic, not for vanity, just a reminder. That reflection was mine now, and mine alone. The next twist came by envelope, again. But this time, not from Paige. It was a wedding invitation. New names on the front, Elena Grace Whitmore and Samuel G. Ryder, but the handwriting on the return address? Identical loops. Same zip code. No question. Paige was trying again. New name. New life. Another reset. Another stage. I turned the envelope over. No RSVP deadline. Just a white card with gold foil that read, "The beginning of forever." I snorted. Then I took a photo and forwarded it straight to Detective Avery. "Guess she's feeling bold again," I typed. The typing dots blinked. Then Avery replied, "Let's make sure forever doesn't last long." I set the card down. Not with dread, with clarity, because I knew something Paige didn't. The story wasn't hers anymore. And this time, I wouldn't be stepping forward alone. The next time I saw Paige, she was in white again. Not a wedding dress this time. Court-appropriate. Cream blouse, gray skirt, hair pulled back like she hadn't just tried to marry a man under her twin's name a few months ago. The hearing was preliminary. A bench date for discovery. No cameras, just files, silence, and a judge with tired eyes. She didn't look at me when I walked in, but I looked at her. She'd lost weight. Her cheekbones were sharper. The confidence she wore like perfume now smelled faint, thin, expired. Her lawyer stood to request more time. Serena, sitting beside me in a navy blazer and courtroom heels, leaned in. She's stalling. She's buying time to disappear again. The judge denied the extension. Afterward, in the hall outside the courtroom, Paige finally spoke. "You won," she said without turning around. "Hope it feels good." I crossed my arms. "This isn't about winning." She turned, eyes red-rimmed, tired, but her voice still had that sugar-laced spite. "You got your name back, your little podcast, your pity parade. I got my life back." She laughed, dry, brittle. "It's funny. You think you're the hero, but you were always the favorite, the golden one. I just took what I deserved. You took what you couldn't build." Her mouth twitched. "You think I'm broken?" she asked. "No," I said quietly. "I think you never stopped pretending." That landed. For the first time in years, Paige didn't have a comeback. She just stared at me, skin pale under fluorescent lights, like maybe, finally, she saw me as more than the mirror she tried to crack and crawl through. Theo texted me later that night, heard from Kristen. Paige showed up at her old job again. Looks like she's spiraling. "You okay?" I stared at the screen. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop. Uploaded episode 8 of the podcast, Ceremony Lights, Why Some Masks Only Crack in Public. Within an hour, it hit 10,000 plays. One comment read, "If someone had told me this could happen in real life, I'd have said no way. But here you are. Fire and grace in one body. Fire and grace." I smiled. Then clicked open a new document. Title, Book Proposal, The Girl Who Vanished Twice. It was time to publish the long version. Book deal landed by November. Small press. Niche. But they understood the tone. Surgical, not sentimental. I told them from page 1. This wasn't a memoir about grief. It was a case study in erasure, and how to unerase yourself with facts, not fists. They gave me 6 months. I gave them everything. Meanwhile, Paige went quiet. Too quiet. No new aliases. No new weddings. Not even a LinkedIn update. According to Serena's court contact, she was, quote, cooperating, which likely meant negotiating. Less jail time, more restitution. A deal, if she could behave. But predators don't hibernate. They just switch terrain. Then, one rainy morning, my podcast inbox pinged. Subject line: You don't know me, but I think we've both met her. The message was short. Hi Grace, my name's Kira. I just found your podcast through Reddit. I think your sister tried something similar with my fiancé last year. Different name, different city, same face. I only caught it because she slipped up calling herself Grace on a bad day. Do you want to talk? I stared at the screen. Then I clicked reply. The call lasted 45 minutes. Kira told me about a woman named Lena W., who showed up at a yoga retreat in Denver, charmed a dozen people, and nearly moved in with a tech executive after 6 weeks. Same birthmark behind the ear. Same allergy to shellfish. And she said the same thing Kira remembered from one of Paige's captions. Some of us are born twice. We just have to pick which life we keep. That night I pulled out my journal and wrote 2 names, Grace Holloway and Paige Holloway. Then I drew a line through the second. She was still out there, trying again, somewhere. But I wasn't the same girl she'd buried with a signature and a soft smile. I was my own proof now. The book hit pre-order charts within the first week. Serena scheduled a soft launch event in Chicago. Nothing fancy. Just a mic, a Q&A, and a crowd of people who'd once lost something too. At the end of the reading, a woman in the back asked me, "What's the last thing you'd say to her if she stood right here?" I didn't hesitate. "I'd say thank you," I replied, "for teaching me exactly who I'm not." I came home from the book launch to a small package at my door. No return label. Inside was a mirror. No frame, no note, just my face staring back at me. Only the glass had a crack, right through the left eye. I stared at it for a long time. Then I picked up my phone, dialed Avery. "It's her," I said. "You sure?" "She's not finished." A pause. Then, "All right, let's finish it first." I hung up. Then I looked back at the mirror, and this time I smiled, because I knew she was watching, and I wanted her to see.